If you're an INFP, you probably feel like you're caught in a constant battle with yourself. Your head is brimming with beautiful, sprawling dreams, but the world keeps telling you they're impractical. You feel things with every fiber of your being, but you're told you're just too sensitive. And that nagging voice in your head, the one that never stops criticizing you, has you convinced these are your biggest flaws. But what if I told you that in the next few minutes, you'll discover a mindset shift so simple, it can start turning these weaknesses into your greatest strengths. And it all begins with a single decision you can make today. That promise of an overnight transformation sounds like something straight out of one of our daydreams, doesn't it? As INFP, we're the dreamers, the poets, the healers, walking around with a rich inner world that few people ever get to see. But so often, the very things that define us are what get misunderstood and mislabeled. People say our head is in the clouds, we feel too much, or we're too fragile for the real world. And the most dangerous part? After hearing it for so long, we start to believe it. We build a prison out of those labels, and our own inner critic becomes the warden. This video is about handing you the key to that prison. Look, this isn't about erasing who you are or becoming someone else. It's about a profound and immediate shift in your perspective. It's the moment you stop seeing these traits as flaws to be fixed and start seeing them as dormant superpowers, just waiting to be claimed. The overnight part is simply the decision, a conscious choice you make to start telling a different story about yourself. Today, we're going to walk through the most common weaknesses people pin on INFP. For each one, we're going to find its hidden power. So if you're ready to stop fighting your own nature and start using it as the gift it truly is, stick around. Let's start with the label that has probably followed you your whole life. The impractical dreamer. You're the one staring out the window during a meeting, not because you're checked out, but because you just connected two totally different ideas into a brilliant new concept. Your mind is a sprawling landscape of intricate stories and utopian futures. But on the outside, people are skeptical. Your dreams are called fantasies. Your ideas are called unrealistic. And maybe you even struggle with the boring, practical stuff, the spreadsheets, the schedules, the endless to-do lists, which only seems to prove them right. This hurts. It feels like the most beautiful part of you, your limitless imagination, is a liability. You feel this constant pressure to be more grounded, more normal. And when your grand visions don't turn into instant results, that inner critic loves to chime in, telling you you're just wasting your time and you'll never amount to anything. But this is where we make our first big shift. Your tendency to dream isn't a weakness. It's the very engine of vision and innovation. You're wired to see what could be while everyone else is stuck on what is. That fantasy world in your head isn't an escape. It's a laboratory. It's where you explore possibilities and craft visions so compelling they can actually inspire change. Many of history's great artists and visionaries are believed to be INFP, from writers like William Shakespeare and George Orwell to J.R.R. Tolkien and Virginia Woolf. They didn't succeed in spite of their idealism. They succeeded because of it. Your superpower here is visionary creativity. You see the big picture when everyone else is lost in the details. The key to unlocking this power is to stop apologizing for it. The mindset shift is this: my dreams aren't impractical. They are blueprints waiting for a foundation. So, how do you build that foundation? You start by taking one small, concrete step to honor your vision. This isn't about becoming a rigid planner overnight. It's about picking one of your dreams and asking, what's the smallest possible action I can take right now to move toward it? Maybe it's writing a single paragraph, sketching one design, sending one email. The goal isn't to build the castle in a day, but to lay a single, tangible brick. By taking small, consistent actions, you begin to give your dreams the structure they need to take root in reality. You start to prove to yourself and to the world that your imagination isn't a flight of fancy, it's a destination. You're just too sensitive. If you had $1 for every time you've heard that, you could probably fund all those impractical dreams we just talked about. This one cuts deep because it targets our very core, our emotional depth. As an INFP, you feel everything intensely. You don't just see a friend's sadness, you feel a shadow of it in your own chest. A beautiful song doesn't just sound nice, it transports you. This sensitivity makes you incredibly empathetic, but it can also feel like a huge vulnerability. You absorb the emotional energy of a room, which can be draining. Criticism can feel like a physical blow, and the world's injustices can feel like a personal burden. For years, you might have tried to build walls around your heart, to numb the feelings, to be tougher. You may have seen your sensitivity as a crippling flaw you have to suppress just to get by. This is probably the most damaging misconception about us. Your sensitivity isn't a weakness. It is emotional intelligence in its most potent form. It's a superpower of profound empathy and connection. The mindset shift here is huge. My sensitivity isn't a vulnerability, it's my radar. It's what lets you navigate the unspoken world of human emotion that most people miss entirely. You can sense when someone's being fake. You can feel a loved one's unspoken needs. In a world that feels increasingly disconnected, your ability to form deep, authentic connections isn't just a gift, it's a necessity. To use this superpower well, you have to stop treating your sensitivity like an open wound and start treating it like the finely tuned instrument it is. This means two things. First, setting boundaries. An instrument left out in the rain will fall out of tune. Same with you. Learning to say no, to walk away from draining people or toxic environments, isn't selfish. It's just non-negotiable self-care. You have to create space for yourself to recharge and process. Think of it as building a beautiful garden with a fence. You can still let people in, but you get to decide who and when. Second, use your empathy with intention. Instead of just passively soaking up all the emotional noise, you can actively direct it where it can do the most good. Pour it into your creative work. Use it to truly support your loved ones. Choose a career that lets you help others or fight for a cause you believe in. When you do this, your emotional depth is no longer a source of overwhelm, but a wellspring of healing, insight, and purpose. There's a voice inside the head of almost every INFP. It's a relentless critic, a perfectionist who is never, ever satisfied. It holds up an impossibly perfect ideal of who you should be, and then lists all the ways you fall short. Made a small mistake at work? The critic calls you incompetent. Said the wrong thing in a conversation? It replays the moment for hours. This is an especially common struggle for the INFP-T, or turbulent subtype you might see in online tests like 16 personalities. But it's a battle for most of us. This harsh self-judgment is paralyzing. It makes us procrastinate because we're afraid to start something that won't be perfect. It creates constant anxiety and makes it impossible to feel proud of ourselves. We offer endless compassion to others, but deny ourselves even a fraction of that same grace. It's exhausting, and it feels like your own mind is your worst enemy. But what if that critic isn't an enemy? What if it's just a deeply misguided guide? The mindset shift here is to understand what that voice is really trying to do. My inner critic isn't trying to destroy me. It's a distorted cry for authenticity and growth. That nagging comes from your core drive to live in alignment with your values. It's your desire to be a good, effective person, just filtered through a lens of fear and perfectionism. To transform this, you have to retrain your inner critic and turn it into a compassionate coach. It starts with consciously changing your self-talk. When you hear that critical voice start spiraling, intervene. Instead of letting it say, "You're so stupid for making that mistake," stop and reframe it. "Okay, that was a mistake, and it feels bad, but what can I learn from it for next time?" It's not about pretending failure feels good. It's about shifting from beating yourself up to reflecting on how you can grow. This whole process is fueled by self-compassion. Think about how you'd talk to a friend who just messed up. You'd be kind, right? You have to learn to offer that same kindness to yourself. When you can do that, you're no longer terrified of failure. It's just part of the journey. That drive for perfection, when you mix it with self-compassion, becomes a superpower for deep self-awareness. It pushes you to be a better person, not because you're afraid of being flawed, but because you're committed to your own evolution. We've walked through these so-called weaknesses: the impractical dreamer, the overly sensitive soul, the crippling self-critic. For each one, we've found the seed of a superpower inside. But how does this happen overnight? It's not magic. You won't wake up tomorrow and never feel self-doubt again. The overnight shift is the epiphany. It is a single, conscious decision. It's the moment you stop fighting yourself and start reframing your story. Think of it like this. For years, you've been navigating your life with a map of yourself drawn by other people. On this map, huge parts of your personality are marked wasteland or here be dragons. The labels read impractical, too sensitive, self-critical, and you've accepted this map as the truth. The overnight shift is the moment you look at that map, realize it's wrong, and decide right then and there to draw your own. It's the conscious thought. What if they were all wrong? What if the things I've been told are my flaws are actually the source of my strength? In that moment, you decide to look at your daydreams, and instead of seeing fantasy, you choose to see vision. You look at your sensitivity, and instead of a weakness, you choose to see empathy. You listen to your inner critic, and instead of a tormentor, you choose to hear a misguided call for authenticity. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about changing how you see who you are. It's a radical act of self-acceptance. This decision can happen in a heartbeat. It can happen right now. From that moment forward, your relationship with yourself changes. The journey of mastering these superpowers takes a lifetime of practice and patience. But the decision to claim them as strengths, that can happen in an instant. This journey of reframing is personal, but we don't have to take it alone. Think about the weaknesses we talked about today. Which one resonates with you the most? In the comments below, share which weakness you're going to commit to reframing starting today. Will you start seeing your daydreams as visionary blueprints? Will you treat your sensitivity as the superpower of empathy? Or will you work on turning your inner critic into your coach? Declaring it is the first step. Let's create a space of support for each other right here. And if this message hit home, and you want to keep exploring how to embrace your authentic self, consider subscribing. We're building a community here for deep thinkers and gentle souls, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. The world is loud and fast, and it often values the surface level over the deep and meaningful. It's a world that can make an INFP feel out of place, like a song played in the wrong key. But the truth is, the world desperately needs your song. It needs your idealism to remember what's possible. It needs your empathy to heal its disconnections. It needs your creativity to solve problems no one else can. Your perceived weaknesses are not flaws in your design. They're the very things that make you, you. To hide them or wish them away is to deny the world your greatest gifts. The most courageous thing you can ever do is to fully and unapologetically embrace your true nature. Be the dreamer. Be the sensitive soul. Be the quiet idealist who, in your own way, changes the world not by becoming harder, but by staying soft in a world that needs your gentleness. Your superpowers have been there all along. It's time to start using them.